Hello everybody, welcome back to That Fiction Life. I am back from my mini hiatus. I've taken the last 2 weeks to really learn about what is going on with Black Lives Matter, and I don't want to sit here and preach to you why it's important. That's just common sense, and it's frankly up to us to amplify other voices that know what they're actually talking about. So I've created a little resource in the description, and I encourage you to check out these links because it's so vital that we don't lose the momentum and it's not something that we just forget a month from now. Now, one very easy way that you can show your support is to read more books by Black authors. And not just this week or this month, but making it a permanent commitment for when you're choosing future books to read. Now, the biggest thing that is honestly a little bit of a piss take is when authors of colour are published, their books are quite often focused on racism and discrimination. While those stories are very important, we also need to remember to read books that are just about living. Black authors can write about fantasy and sci-fi and romance and not just about their pain, and I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind when we decide on which books we read. So that is what has inspired this week's review. I am so excited to be talking about A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A Brown. When this book first fell on my radar, it was as though it was written for me. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know the sort of fantasy elements that I like to see in stories. And so this was an immediate obsession. This is going to be a spoiler-free review at the start because I have so many thoughts to convey to you all, but I do also have a number of spoilered things that I will talk about right at the end, but I will give you plenty of warning before talking about any kind of details so that you do not get spoiled. So without further ado, let's begin. So I bought the audiobook for this, as the physical and ebook copies aren't publishing until July in the UK. I was not willing to wait that long because the plot summary set me on fire and I needed it immediately. The main overall story of this book is that it's inspired by West African folklore, told from the perspective of two characters who are both planning to murder each other for various reasons. We have Malik, who makes a deadly deal with a spirit to kill the princess of Zoran, and Karina, the aforementioned princess, is meddling with dark magic, and she needs the beating heart of someone to succeed with her spell. Now, the book is primarily set within the week of the Solstagia festival, which occurs every 50 years and marks a new sort of era. Depending on the day of the week that you were born, you worship a different god, and that is very significant because in order to choose a god to rule over for the next era, 7 champions are given challenges to compete over. Whoever wins looks over the next 50 years. So first, we're going to talk about the writing because the twists in this book slayed the house down. I'm not going to lie to you. Upon first starting this book, I really thought it was being led in a particular way, and I thought it was going to have a very predictable storyline because as much as I was enjoying everything playing out, I just saw a very clear path for everything. The way that you are led through the story, and even from the personalities of the characters, I never would have foreseen the hell that is unleashed. It's a very lyrical book. The way the legends are weaved into the story, the incorporation of magic, it was almost fairy tale-like. The start of this book especially, where it's very world-building heavy, it read like someone telling you a story around a fire where you're learning little snippets about the city and the background of this world. It was so beautiful and visual. A massive misconception that I think people are going to have about this book, based on the premise, is that it's going to be a very romance, kind of cliche, we know what's coming kind of story, but that is a very secondary theme throughout the book. Yes, there are those angsty, touched my soul kind of scenes where you have an emotional breakdown because, let's be real, those scenes do get to me. But it's not the focus. You really spend time with the characters and you learn about their backstories and motivations. Vengeance is its own character in this book, and it was downright hilarious from Malik's and Karina's perspective, as they are both going after each other without the other knowing about it. It was just very enjoyable seeing both of them think that they're all this, oh, you don't know you're about to die right now, but the other is thinking the same thing. I found this to be a very empowering read. Especially with Karina, because as we're dealing with royalty here, I love seeing her fight for her rights. As in most monarchies, women really do have to fight for their place, and they're not given the same benefit of the doubt as men do in terms of their power to rule. We saw a contrast to how powerful Karina's mother is, but she did have to fight and came across as downright cold to prove her worth. And with Karina, the public had placed a judgment on her without really knowing what she's really like. And the disrespect that she had to overcome really inspired me. The mental health rep in this book is wow. We had very vivid descriptions of panic attack and the kind of pressure that you feel within yourself. And there's so many great quotes about dealing with these things throughout the book, which I won't mention because I think it's nice to kind of read them for the first time because they were gorgeous lines to read, and I think they were very empowering words to hear when you're reading to yourself or listening in my case. The pacing was a little bit off for me. It was a little bit all over the place at times. At the start it was very slow burn to get into the big action, and then it sped up really fast, and by the end so many things were happening at the same time. I think I would have liked for an overall gradual pace. The massive championship, which is very important for the plot, I thought was going to be much bigger than it was. And it was weaved into the story very well, but I think that I expected more high stakes for the actual challenges. Regarding the ending, I can't even. But I've never been so stressed. I'm so obsessed with this world. I love the characters, and Rosanna has found a reader for life because I am already counting down the days until book 2, and the fact that we have so long to wait, it's a bit traumatizing, isn't it? I have this term that I call panic reading, and it's when you get to the very end of a book, there's only a couple of chapters left, and you genuinely have to stand up and walk around as you're reading because it's so stressful. This book was a journey, and it all led towards my downfall. If you're looking for a very unpredictable book, then this is perfect. I'm going to leave links down in the description, including a free audiobook credit if you would like a free trial using my link. I'm now going to talk about some spoilers because it's very hard to review such an intense book without any kind of detail. So if you haven't read the book, I would highly recommend you check it out. But please do exit this video. Things are about to go down. Okay, I've given you plenty of warning. If you're still here, enter at your own risk. We're going to start discussing with the fact that I was very scared at the start because I loved Farid. We knew that Malik was going to be Karina's main love interest. I thought that we're going to get a love triangle where we have Malik, who's trying to kill Karina, and Farid. I mean, we know that he's a psychopath now, but at the time, I loved their scenes. They had this sort of mutual respect for each other that I really liked seeing, and there was definitely chemistry between them. Yes, I know he's in love with her sister, but you know, at the start of this book, this was a moot point. And already I was getting annoyed because I wanted Farid and Karina to be a thing. I wasn't supposed to be having reactions, but anytime Karina and Farid had a scene, good lord, every time he gave her a look. I was very surprised at the length that it actually took for Karina and Malik to meet, because that first section definitely does feel as though you're being told a story, and at a certain moment it feels like you're pressing play on the main action. And that definitely happened when they started inviting the champions to come live at the palace. At the start of the book, I really couldn't warm to Malik. A lot of people feel more of a connection with him because he's genuinely a nice person, and you know, apart from the fact that he wants to murder the princess, he's a very caring character. And for me, I am just not drawn to those characters at the start because I usually, you know, this is the thing, okay? I feel like my subconscious told me to love Farid and he's going to be insane by the end because I loved him from the start. But anyway, it took a lot of time for me to warm to Malik. First of all, I was very annoyed at him for running after that boy right at the start and losing their papers. Yes, he has that trait of helping everyone around him, but you know, you have your two sisters with you. I was mad. Karina, on the other hand, came across as such a badass to me, and I loved reading from her perspective more at the start. I mean, from the very first scene with her where she beats the bard at everything and just takes all these winnings for herself, I absolutely loved where the plot was going. At the point where Karina is already low-key being a queen because the actual queen has been assassinated. That scene in the council meeting and the fact that it's later revealed that it's actually them who plotted the assassination. Oh, I love a royal conspiracy plotline. They're very exciting when done well. This book had a lot of plots to keep up with, and I wasn't expecting that because I really thought we were just going to focus on Malik trying to kill the princess. But when she starts coming up with this whole necromancy thing, she's going to bring the queen back from the dead and she needs all these body parts from a king. What in the hell? That is what makes YA fantasy so good, is that you don't think it will cross these lines and then it does. The way everything fits together by the end, it was like a little present that's just going to blow up because it's so full of secrets and deceit and betrayals. I loved the scene where both Malik and Karina are running away from that raid and he has to stitch up her clothing because she doesn't know how. I am such a sucker for these angsty scenes. They're both trying to kill each other at the same time, and the fact that neither of them know who the other is, the drama. And also they were both using each other for information. You have Malik who has this servant girl in his midst and he can ask her all these questions about the princess and she's asking him questions about the riddles. It was like having a private joke with both of them. Like, you're the reader watching this all play out with some popcorn. Like, this is so fun. We have to talk about the fact that Karina was downright rigging the contest from the very beginning, from getting the girl to disqualify herself and leave the championship so that one of the guys would win so that she could have their heart, because it needed to be a king's heart for her little potion of resurrection. To the fact that she's thinking, right, who would I want to kill the most out of these champions? I just can't with her. She is such a great character and I loved seeing her thought process of this. She's thinking, right, I like this Malik guy the most, so I'm going to disqualify him. He won. I thought, okay, so they're going to now have a fight. One of them will win and the end. When she suddenly goes, actually no, I think I'd rather kill my ex-boyfriend, so Tunde's going to win. This sort of end part of the book is when the book became way too fast-paced for me. You have Karina suddenly get married to Tunde and then they're all happy husband and wife, and in 1 second she gives up on her whole plan and she's thinking, no, I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to love him and we're going to be a happy husband and wife. Now we need to talk about the thing that actually broke my soul and I didn't know what to do with myself. When Malik actually stabs her with the knife. Sorry, what do you mean? You know, the way that we were led through the story, what I thought was going to happen, neither of them were going to be able to kill the other because they fell in love and they have a relationship, and then they're going to reveal both of their plots to each other and somehow they're going to overcome both of their struggles together. But the fact that Malik actually decided to go ahead with his plan, and then we have the other bombshell of Farid being announced as another evil villain, and I just, you know, it was a lot of information to get in a matter of chapters. You have the spirit coming back, who, by the way, is Karina's grandfather, who wants her killed because his wife screwed him over by killing this. You know what? It was a lot. So Farid is evil. Now we know why I had this weird connection to him. Not that I like him, but I have this thing where I love villains that are written very well. The way he manipulated Karina was, you know, crazy, but well done. When he slit Tunde's throat, I died because I loved his character so much from the very first time that he decides to form an alliance with some of the champions. I really grew to love his character, and the fact that he just was taken out within one line was very traumatic. So Malik's scenes with the hyena, oh, those were some of the best scenes, and I love the line that she tells him, if you are unhappy with this ending, make a new one. That was such a great line, and it gave me chills. You know, this book had a lot of one-liners which kind of made you think, oh, okay, this is quality writing. I really like that she told him that him and Karina are going to meet again, because it gives you this foresight. You're thinking about their next meeting already, even though they're completely in different places right now. The whole part with Karina being banished from leaving the room and basically being trapped in the palace was so sad, because this part always scares me. In any kind of book that has a monarchy, it shows how fragile the crown actually is unless you are surrounded by loyalty. Karina is literally the queen, and she's so powerless, because if your guards and your advisors turn against you, you can't do much by yourself. So then the sister comes back. I thought that Hanan was mentioned one too many times. It definitely sounded like there was a point to it, and the fact that she was the one that they resurrected, oh my god. Another part in this section that broke me in half was when Malik started to carry out his original plan of killing her to get Nadia back. And I love the line where he says, "You take my body, you can use it to kill the princess directly." Here we go again with this Malik surprising me time and time again. You know, he's really not the cinnamon roll that you all think he is. He has some very reckless and dark thoughts, and I enjoyed that about him. He'd had a journey. I feel as though we knew Karina's personality a lot more at the start, and we would kind of expect her to do all these very reckless things. So the ending of this was very satisfying, and I wasn't expecting that. Based on how many things happened, I thought we were going to end on a real cliffhanger, you know, kind of life in the balance kind of moment. It feels like we closed a chapter, yet you feel this adventure brewing, and the characters are quite literally sailing away to new beginnings. I don't feel that there's much chemistry between Malik and Karina yet. I feel like I need to mourn Tunde first, and, you know, my dreams of Farid and Karina being a thing, because I feel like I need to put that to rest because everyone's shipping the other two. But I'm so excited for more angsty scenes between them, because they definitely had those. And I love those little snippets towards the end when they were both pining for each other. I can't wait for book 2. I'm so excited to see this play out, because there's so many different things in motion at the moment. You know, Malik is going to learn from Farid about how to control his powers. Karina is going off to learn about her power as well. Do leave your thoughts below, because I need to keep discussing this book with people. So thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!